Welcome to Yachtllywood Podcast. Here we will uncover the stories behind the yachting industry.
From lakeside captain
I'm a water baby at heart.
to CEO leading Arrow USA's fleet of some of the world's most prestigious super yachts,
I was absolutely blown away. I couldn't believe what he was telling me.
Nate Cook dived with us into the dynamics of US yachting market,
It's such a successful bridging between the Europe and US.
its opportunities, challenges,
The industry is not so secret anymore. Wall Street's discovered yachting. They've got clients in their 20s that are owning these super yachts.
and of course, the people pushing it forward.
It takes a lot of work and a lot of precision to make that happen. At the end of the day, finding the right people is everything.
I'm Sofiana Bergolzi, your host, and now let's dive into the conversation. But first, take a little second and hit the subscribe button. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Yachtllywood Podcast. We are at Arrow's office with Nate Cook, the CEO. Nate, thank you so much for having us here.
Thanks for having me.
You are so young to be the CEO of such a fast-growing company. How was the process for you entering here?
Arrow being based in Monaco since it was founded nearly 30 years ago. The next natural step for the company was to open up an Arrow office in North America to continue the growth and expansion. So I filled the position under Yaron Hobson, who is the group CEO, owner of Arrow. It's been very exciting. It's been very fun. I've been in the management field for nearly 8 years now after working on board super yachts myself. So it's been a really nice natural transition from working on board to working ashore in the yacht management field. And I've been fortunate to have worked under some really great people in the industry as mentors. And I'm extremely grateful to work with Yaron Hobson, of course, under his direction, leading the group overall. The most fun part of my job is that we're all very much aligned on the vision for the company and where we want to be in the next 1, 2, 5, 10 years from now. And that makes my job way easier.
Nice.
You know,
So you mentioned mentors. I would like to know how has been like your process from the personal side. What does it take to have your position and yeah, but the mentors. How has been this experience for you?
it's been everything for me, especially being in the industry where I have not even just on the shore side, but step back into working on board the yachts. I mean, you know, as a captain on board and working under captains and as a younger in our careers on board, it's everything. And by enabling yourself to be in a position where you can work with a great team and a great leader on board, be it a captain or a head of department, it will make or break your experience. And it's life, right? You need those people, those significant presence in your life to be able to look up to and admire and challenge you to work harder and do better at your job. So I think I've been very fortunate to work under great captains and as a captain myself for a short time at sea, and that has really, I think, pushed me into the shoreside role of management and starting as a yacht manager and kind of working my way up through the ranks as you do, but working under great mentors who have taught me so much of what I know today and continue to motivate me and push me into an somewhat of an uncomfortable position. You know, it's a lot of responsibility when you get to be in a position like this and leading a company and building a team in the U.S. market, which for a company that's relatively unknown, you know,
Yeah.
and that's part of what I'm trying to do and develop that. But I think, my goal is to always be able to lead the team and guide the team in the right direction and be a mentor for them as well. And sometimes I don't
Beautiful.
feel like I'm a great mentor, but I think that's just natural.
Because you're young, you're
You know,
so
it's a lot to learn still, and I certainly don't know everything, and I would never in a million years say I do, but I look up to a lot of people that I
Yeah.
rely on personally, and I want to be that in that role for the team here, you know. And
Yeah, and if we go back to your personal story, who is Nate? Who was Nate before entering to the yachting
I'm
industry?
a water baby at heart. I'm drawn to the water, always have been. Stretching back from my childhood, I was always needing and wanting to be in the water. I grew up most of my young life, up through high school. I grew up in Minnesota, of all places,
Yeah.
right? The frozen tundra of Minnesota and the Twin Cities. And living up there, we have very much the four seasons, and summer was the best season of them all. And I was always waiting for the ice to thaw to get on the water and water ski, play with friends' boats and drive boats. And I was doing everything possible to get on the water. So every summer I would drive boats up there on Lake Minnetonka, the suburbs of Minneapolis, and was a captain on for a towboat US. I was also a captain for a couple of dinner cruise lines up there, 80-foot boats that carry 75 passengers for dinner cruises around the lake. And I was narrating with a microphone in one hand, telling everybody about the big homes along the lake shore there, celebrity homes. And I was 15, 16, 17 years old doing that. So it was quite a responsibility having that, those amount of people on board. And that was my passion. And then I found a great school to attend university down in the west coast of Florida. I needed to get out of Minnesota and get to the ocean somehow, some way. And I found this great college called Eckerd College in St. Petersburg, Florida. And they're right on the water. And I got a business management degree with a minor in leadership, but I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go in life, So I met through a friend of mine, their friend is a captain of a super yacht. And at the time, I never even heard of the industry. It was the first time I even knew yacht existed in this conversation. And he explained to me what he did. His wife was the chief stewardess on board, and they run this yacht. I asked him, wait a minute, so you actually get paid to do what you do? And you travel where? And I was absolutely blown away. I couldn't believe what he was telling me. I was like, this is an actual industry that exists. So I was like, I have to figure this out. I have to do this. So I got my license, I got my tickets, and what I needed to be a yacht crew, and got on my first yacht straight out of school after I graduated with my degree. And I was a deckhand on a 40-meter yacht, setting sail to the South Pacific and Australia and Fiji, and that was the end of it. I was hooked instantly. So I found my calling at the time. I was very, very happy and super excited to find this line of work. And that's kind of how I landed into it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you have such a long path, but always leading to the same.
It kind of did. Eventually led to me to my passion.
Yeah,
and,
incredible.
Yeah, very grateful.
So how does this experience now help you leading the company?
What I've kind of found myself naturally drawn to is the kind of the service element, the hospitality element, the client appreciation, of kind of making everybody's, whoever I'm working with or working for, I be on board the yachts. I've always have been drawn to the client side of the business, and satisfying their desires to own a yacht and experience yachting for what it has to offer. I think I've always really been drawn to providing a good experience, and I think that stems back to driving the boats on Lake Minnetonka and all the way through, and then working on board the yachts. It was always so fulfilling and rewarding to give that experience back to the client, to the owners of the yacht or the charter guests, and see them enjoy themselves and provide them an experience that is just life changing, or it's what life has to offer, for these people.
Somebody said, "I'm the best part of my client's life."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No,
it's good, and to kind of be there in the background, making this experience possible is really neat.
And make it so smooth that for them it looks like there is never problems, nothing happen.
Yeah.
They just
everything's
are
going
there
great
to enjoy, and you in the background you are like facing all these
controlled
situations,
chaos.
And let's call it situations, not too.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But since you are working with Arrow, now you have another view in Europe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for a management company, it's such a successful bridging between the Europe and US. How does that work?
Well, that's a good point. And I think in my few years of yacht management, which is not many in the grand scheme of things, and I have noticed that there has been a kind of this challenge in these international companies that, let's say, are more based in Europe, right? There's many of the big brokerage houses who have, the sales, charter, management under one roof are primarily based in Europe, and then they expand and they open offices in the U.S. And I think there has to be a recipe for success for that to go well, because there's a lot of opportunities for it to not succeed, in that you have the European mentality, the European way of doing business, and you have the U.S. way of doing business, which can be very different,
Okay.
right? Culturally, naturally, you know.
100%.
So if we're working under one brand, it's really important that we understand what the brand is and what we're aiming to do and how we want to be presented in the market, in the industry, but also operate in a way that makes the U.S. offices successful. That might be different in the way we operate in Europe. So to mine that bridge is really challenging, and I think there's a lot of things that have to come together for that. And at the end of the day, finding the right people is everything, and having those people understand what is necessary, and then empowering the rest of the team to make the decisions accordingly to drive the business forward is important. And fortunately, with Arrow and working under Yaren, who's overseeing the group, and with the Arrow office has always been in Europe for 28 years until recently, my challenge is going to be ensuring that we can continue the momentum and drive the success that Arrow has had in Europe in the US, but also adjusting to the way the business is handled here in the US, because what we do here is different from what we do in Europe. Decisions are made differently here that wouldn't fly over in Europe, and vice versa. So without that freedom and flexibility, and it really comes from the top down and enabling the team and the group to run the business accordingly, wherever that location might be. I be in Dubai or in Singapore, but right now we're focused in the U.S. and North America and market, which clients are different here. They expect different, So what I've seen in the past with other companies who might have had offices here might not succeed. Therefore, they close the office and bring it. Oh, we'll go back to Europe, make everything out of Europe.
Yeah. I guess when you try to copy a model, a European model here, it's not gonna work. You need to kind of follow the same principles, but adapt it to the market.
Absolutely. And it sounds simple, but it's not that simple in practice. Day to day, right? We get very used to the way of doing things here in the U.S. that moves a bit faster and a little less, guardrails sometimes, depending on what the situation is. But
Yeah, but can we have more details on the difference that you feel between the European market? I know that my audience is based in Europe, so I'm sure they want to know what specifically is changing.
I think the European market, in terms of, I'm kind of talking more from a management standpoint as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been involved with brokerage and sales. It's not my area. It never will be.
Yeah, we stay
I'm
far from there.
I'm just staying in
much.
what I do and what I know, and we have a lot of great relationships out there in the industry of amazing brokers and brokerages that we work with and will always work well with. But from a management standpoint, I think it's really comes down to the day-to-day, the operations side of what we do, the way that we communicate with our clients, the way that the clients over here in North America expect certain decisions to be made, timing-wise. They expect reactivity is key, and that's a company expectation that we have for the group, is and replying in a very short time frame, within an hour at most, to any inquiry that comes in from a captain, from a client that expects something from us. We need to be reactive. A lot of the larger yachts in the world are more or less somehow tied more so to Europe. The shipyards, for example, right? So all the major shipyards are primarily based in Europe.
Yeah.
The ones that are building, and they have the facilities and the resources to be able to, service these yachts that we have very limited resources in North America to be able to do that. So I think naturally you have a lot of the elements of managing these boats is going to be, there's always going to be that European tie that is going to require having presence in Europe and having presence in the U.S. But I've worked with management firms that are based only in Fort Lauderdale, and a U.S.-based firm, which is fine. But I think you're kind of missing that level of service and the attention to the owners, to the yachts, to the programs, when you don't have that European presence, just time zone related, But there's always, I think we have a lot to learn in the U.S. market from a shipyard standpoint, not necessarily builds, because I think there's a lot of the building is going on over there, but from a refit and project management, element, the U.S. doesn't quite seem to be able to keep up with the standards that are happening in Europe.
You think it's attention to detail?
Detail and going
and maybe
into a ship.
It's also like we're saying, like here in US, everything happens so fast, and in Europe I feel like, yeah, we take a little bit more time, but maybe because of that things end up more
I think it's also
precise.
the tendering and the specification process for a yard period, right? We don't seem to be able to do that well in the US. When you bring a yacht, say if there's a $3 million refit planned, we're planning a $3 million refit for a yacht. We go to 3 shipyards here in the US, and very rarely can we get 100% or 90% of the project, quoted fixed price. It almost doesn't exist here, and that's really challenging in a for planning purposes, when you've got a lot of it dealing with time and materials and this kind of uncertainty of what to expect. But here's a ballpark. Versus when you go to some of the European yards, they can give you a fixed price and a timeline that's much more accurate and much easier to plan in advance. I think the planning and preparation is more difficult to do here, because we're dealing more with contractors and vendors that are coming from third parties, and you're putting all those elements together. And it can work absolutely great if planned properly in advance and with enough transparency and communication with all the parties. But it takes a lot of work and a lot of precision to make that happen effectively. Here in the U.S., it's more challenging, I think.
Okay.
Here, these are the larger refits, right? A lot of the big multi-million-dollar refits, we're seeing most of those are happening back in Europe.
Okay. Yeah. Do you feel like now there is more requests for new builds or for refits? How is the market here?
We are experiencing a lot more requests for new build construction management and new build supervision. And I think that's something that we're in a really strategic place in the market to be able to offer those services. That's something that the Aero Group has done well the last number of years in building and developing and putting the right team in place. Of the 63 team members at Aero, half of those are in the project team and new build construction or refit management. These are class 1 engineers, master mariners. These are individuals that have been doing this a very long time and building some of the largest yachts in the world.
Wow.
And acting as a owner's representative, project manager, project manager will make the decisions, we'll call the shots, we'll really be the advocate for the client during the period of build or refit if it's a refit project. So that is a really strong suit that we are doing well. And I think with that said, I think it's kind of getting out there now a bit more to the industry of what we are doing and what we're capable of, and the types of programs that we're involved with are exceeding 100 meters. So we're kind of in the scope of some of these clients and who are represented by their brokers who would like to build a yacht and make sure that it's done right and as transparent as possible. And that's what we are. We're getting more demand for those inquiries, yes. We're currently overseeing 18 new build projects, and we've got a handful of other contracts that are under review at the moment as well.
In Europe is very much who do you know, and this will bring you opportunities, this will open doors. How does it work here in the US? Like the skills are more valued than who do you know, or
the skills are here as well. I mean, there's some very talented contractors and vendors and worksmen here in the States that do incredible work. We don't have the quantity of people available to do the type of work that we do in Europe. I think Europe is such a hub for boat building and yacht building, and for so many years. I think we've just seen that decline in the U.S. over all the years of shipyards that are just no longer there anymore.
Yeah.
So I think there's a talent. The talent is here. I think it's a little more complex in bringing those people together, and it is a matter of who you know. I really do.
Okay.
And once you find the right people who do the right type of work that you expect, and they can deliver what you expect, then you keep those people close. They're the first ones you call. You get to know your network, like everyone has their network of people, and I think it's being consistent and having consistency in delivering a service that you expect out of these various contractors and vendors who are serving the same clients we are, and we're just, I think, making sure we're aligning ourselves as a group, as Aero, with those contractors and vendors that we rely on and we know will deliver the product or service that we expect. And and maintain the standard that we do. And it's a little more challenging, I think, here in the States than it is in Europe because you have those shipyards that have been operating for many years and have all of those workers that we don't quite have that quantity here.
I
so
guess it's
a different element.
matter also of tradition and
tradition. Exactly.
Yeah, of course. Do you feel it growing? Like more new generations are interested in this industry. Let's say it in the right way, because I see a lot, with social media and everything. There is so much interest because people think once you step into yachting, you will have the lifestyle of a yacht owner, which is far from being true. But do you feel there is a real authentic interest from younger generations here?
From the crew element or from the clients?
From the, I feel more from the land-based industry.
From land-based, younger. Yeah, I think look, the industry is not so secret anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even when I started yachting almost 20 years ago, which isn't a long time in the big picture of some of my other colleagues in the industry who've been doing it for a very long time. Yachting is different now, right? It's Wall Street's come to town. Wall Street's discovered yachting, right? We're not these small little companies anymore. I mean, these are massive corporate, multi-billion-dollar organizations that are coming in and leading the yachting industry, right? And setting the standards and setting the bars, and it's become very corporate in a lot of the areas, and that's just it's a huge industry when you think about it, right? And it's kind of been exposed, and I think the way it's been exposed is I have to credit the Below Deck show, right? I mean, until Below Deck came around, no one in the world knew what yachting was, even though it was locally in Fort Lauderdale,
That's true.
So now people have like a glimpse into this crazy world of yachting that we're in. It's like, wow, okay, so that's sparked a lot of interest from maybe the younger generation as well.
Okay.
Especially from the international side of crew who come in. But that's always been the case. You get a lot of the crew are 18 coming out of school straight into yachting. And I think also from a client standpoint, we're seeing quite a number of younger clients. The clients are getting younger.
Definitely.
We've got a handful of clients that are in their 30s that are owning yachts and building yachts at the same time. And those are the type of clients that we kind of gravitate towards for all the obvious reasons of growing with them and their ownership experience. I talked to somebody the other night. A couple of their clients are in their 20s. They've got clients in their 20s that are owning these super yachts. So yes, I think it's definitely we're seeing a younger wealth. The divide is getting wider, I think, from the wealth gap, and there's a lot younger people really in all areas. It's interesting.
Do you feel they have like different requests? Is how yachting is going to evolve because of them?
It's different. I think it's a different pace of life with the generation now that we're in with the Gen Zers and it's a different way with technology and the social media element, and it's completely changed in 25, 30 years, and I think we have to adapt as an industry to make sure we can accommodate that change, which positive, negative, depends what side you look at it,
I feel maybe in the design, like now boats are designed just for experience, like and lifestyle and even Instagram. I feel like if you have a nice gym instead of a beach club, then
Yeah. And I think that's a big difference maybe with the younger clients that we see we're working with. They want the experience, right? Exactly. They're interested. And now that the Arctic is opening up, the Northwest Passage is more readily accessible. There's parts of the world that are more accessible for cruising, and there are many clients are kind of chasing that experience and wanting to go off the beaten track, and then they want a yacht, buy a new yacht or build a yacht that can accommodate those experiences and be unique, rather than maybe some of the older clients we have that have been used to taking the yachts and parking in Saint Tropez and Monaco for the summer and just kind of being in that milk run scenario. That's been a big shift, I think, in the industry, is those experiences, and we're seeing the development of infrastructure around the world, in the Middle East, out in the South Pacific, and there's marinas being developed, and that's contributing to making it easier for the yachts to travel those parts of the world. When you have the resources ashore to be able to accommodate the yachts and generally provide that experience for clients. It's really cool. It's very fun.
From the technology standpoint, how do you keep it human?
That's it.
using, staying the piece of
It's
the technology.
the topic of many seminars throughout these boat shows.
Oh, nice.
AI
I
and
get
how is AI going to come in? What is technology doing? Where's the human element part of it? It's a very big conversation to have, and we could probably talk all day about that. But obviously AI is on everybody's mind, and AI is here. It's like the internet boom was how many years ago. It's not going anywhere, and it's moving very fast. So whether we like it or not, we have to get on board somehow. I don't know exactly how yet.
Are you using it in
We're
Arrow
using
besides
AI.
ChatGPT?
Besides, well, yes.
So for some management systems,
I think so we use it for all of our meetings. We use AI notes for taking meeting minutes in our remote meetings and also our in-office meetings, and it's a great way of summarizing everything that's been discussed and being able to share the summary quickly with whoever it might be. That's the basic level, and then we're looking at other programs and softwares to be able to further make kind of make it more efficient in what we do on a day-to-day.
I saw, I don't remember which boat, but they have a system for their engineers to kind of control and kind of guide the crew engineers through some problems that could be happening.
Yep.
So it's like managing from land. How do you think this is going to work?
There's a lot of technology that exists or is starting to come to fruition of onboard equipment and monitoring. The engineering space, the technical spaces, the ship overall. The technology is starting to become more regular. I think that the challenge is going to be there's a lot of work to do, and especially from the AI standpoint. I know there's automation. How do we automate systems and processes and equipment on board? But we're still a long way from that. I think we're still 5-10 years out from really getting a good product that can remove the need for certain shore-based managers to oversee some elements of the job. But with that said, there's now more so than ever still the need for the human element factor. And I think in our business and management and yachting, you're never going to fully replace the need of a yacht manager or similar role in overseeing a yacht program for the clients. We're still providing an experience at the end of the day. And as much as we can automate systems on board or computers and what we do at our desks here at the office, that it's just a matter of managing that alongside the human element and trying to become more effective overall.
I feel like not only in the sense that you have to be aware physically what is the problem or what's happening on the boat, but also the connection between the manager and the captain is so important. And I mean, if you just discontinue this connection, it will not absolutely be the same experience for the owner, which is at the end what really matters.
Yeah, and I think just technology. Just look at what social media has done for the industry. Only in the last 10 years do yachts have their own social. Some yachts, charter yachts, have their own social media pages. Sure. The Loon Effect, those yachts that really have become very popular and very successful based on these marketing campaigns they do on social media. And that's been a really interesting turn in the industry to see that and how that impacts all areas, including the client or the program in general, or exposes them, which might not always be the best thing at the same time. There's a lot of risk there. You take on a lot of risk if things go wrong. So it's a very delicate balancing act in managing the social media element and the marketing technology of your phones. Everything's on your phone, right? You find out instantly what's going on, right? If there's something happening on a yacht or a disaster somewhere or a news update in the industry, you're going to find out instantly. So that is incredible as that is. It's also very dangerous.
For sure.
It's scary when
your client
and things move at an instant.
Yeah.
And once it's out there on the internet, it's really hard to go back tracking and pull it off and correct it. So it's going to happen. But trying to do what we do in the best way possible. That's why there's a lot of shady business in the industry too, right? And I think as time goes on, as technology gets stronger, as information is shared quickly, the shadiness of the industry starts to get exposed quicker.
Yeah.
And that's important, and especially for a firm like us, as there are a lot of other companies out there that operate like we do and wanting to be honest and transparent Just do the right thing. It's simple, really. We're here to do the best we can, provide the best experience, provide the best services, transparency, communication. It's really simple, and if we can maintain that, we're okay.
And what elements will take to build that trust with such big clients?
Honesty. That's it. Honesty is everything. What gets to be frustrating for an independent management firm like us, because we don't have the brokerage component, so we don't go into a client meeting with our internal a broker to purchase a yacht, and here's management as well, right? So we have to be. What tends to happen is a broker will sell a yacht to a client, and then they'll introduce us as management, and the broker will take off. They've bought the boat, they've done the transaction. Now they're gone. On to the next one. Here, client. Here's your management team. Have a great year ahead. Well, we build the budget with them. We communicate all of the intricacies of what goes into owning a yacht, how much things cost. That's not always fun to talk about. We don't want to, but some clients, when they are surprised by that or taken back or unhappy with the information that we feed them, which is just pure honesty in terms of what elements are changing on board or what this is going to cost or what you need to do to service that.
Because maybe the broker gave the
so
wrong information.
Sometimes a client can be just very disappointed if they weren't given the right information in advance of purchasing the yacht. And that's where we see where the client just gives up and gets out of the industry altogether, when they're misled in the beginning in buying the boat, or not told what to expect, or having those conversations with a manager or management team in advance of purchasing the yacht. There's so many elements the management team can bring to the table, to the conversation, that a broker might not be able to, or might not have that level of experience or knowledge to be able to contribute. And I get that maybe information we give might cause the sale to not go through, and we kind of spook. But at the end of the day, you're not doing the satisfaction for the client. You're misleading the client, and that is really kind of our biggest frustration. And so again, back to honesty. If we can give the right information to the client, true honesty, and make them aware in advance of things going wrong, it might be a hard conversation to have or an email to send, but if we don't send it or communicate it, it's just going to come back anyway. So best part of what we do is educating these clients, being there as they need us to be, making sure the right people are in place, outside of just our team, but whoever's stepping foot on that yacht, contractors, to crew, to employers, to flex, everything that goes on. That's where we can be of best use, is to make sure that things are done the right way, get the right people in place, because it can go awful. It can go pear-shaped very quickly, and then you lose the experience. The owner gets pissed off. They sell the boat, and then that's where we've experienced that, and that's what we try to avoid at all costs.
And Nate, as a last question, what do you think is the philosophy of Arrow?
The philosophy of Arrow. Probably getting sick of saying it, but honesty and transparency and integrity are what we do every single day, and we live to abide by. With respect for clients, our crew, our vendors, people internally. Respect is everything. Transparency is everything, from the new build phase to the day one of drawing the design on the paper for a client, and helping them all the way through, and guiding them along the way, and being honest and open with what we know and have experienced for many, many years across all areas of the industry, and being able to give that to the owner, and maintain that relationship. And without the transparency and the integrity and the respect and the honesty, we will not succeed, and that will be the end of it. As soon as we start burning bridges and we start doing shady business, and fortunately, one of our big strong points as well at Arrow is we are very strict on the zero commission policy. So there's no kickbacks, no commission. We manage our services, a flat monthly fee. That's it. Nothing in the background. It's going to pop up. There's nothing shady. It's very exposed out there, and that's what we will always maintain. And once we lose that, the business will not succeed. So
it's wonderful. Yeah, because I feel when you think about management, you tend to just picture the operational side, but at the end, it just comes out to the human side. And,
it really is. It's a big part of it, and without good people doing what we do, this would be a very different business. So it's part of the challenge and the excitement at the same time, and growing the company to where it is on both sides. And we've had a big hiring spree here in the U.S. Obviously, we've had a hiring spree in Europe as a new build division's growing. So we need the right people in place. I can happily say we're overstaffed at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We have more people in the company than there is work, but that's all part of the plan, right? We're setting up the team accordingly and getting everything in place to be able to organically grow the management division, but also be able to successfully manage the new build fleet when it gets delivered over the next several years. So now is the time to put everything into place.
Thank you. Thank you, Nate. Thank you for this interview, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. And thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us today in Yachtllywood, the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe for more exciting episodes with incredible guests. Until next time.